I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, justice for all.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? For approval for the May 30th, 2023 minutes. Move to approve. By John, second by Phil. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any public comment? Discuss the idea of the service the city can provide to business owners during upcoming.
All right, so what I wanted to do right now is to kind of have a brainstorming session. We've talked about what ideas of services we could provide for the business owners and property owners for the downtown reconstruction project this year, but really going into the 2024 construction season, just because of all the construction and the massive amount of construction limits we'll have throughout the whole project. So I just wanted to kind of have a brainstorming session. I'm going to bring up a blank Word document, and I think we just kind of talk about different ideas of things what we could do to support downtown business owners. But to start that off, I do want to throw some caveats out there just to have this in the back of your head. I know when we have committee meetings and we start throwing out ideas of, oh, this can get done, this can get done, but I just want to make sure that we have in the back of our heads, right now staffing is very limited with the city right now. Robert, who is here, is extremely busy with construction projects. Also, we have Trista here tonight, who is our new video marketing person, who is starting to do some marketing things, but just kind of keep in the back of our heads, we do have some limits on our abilities and staffing availability right now to be doing a lot of different programs, a lot of different projects. So keep that in the back of your head. Also, there's almost a cost to anything. Anything that we do is probably going to cost some money. Now is the perfect time to talk about it because we're going to start going in next year's budget. But there's probably a cost of something, so we got to kind of recognize that. And then the last thing I wanted to kind of keep in the back of our heads, whatever we offer now, it might be an expectation for future projects. So if we start doing something now in the downtown, say we do Mill Street in a couple of years, are we going to have that same expectation to do the exact same things there too? Maybe, maybe not, but just kind of some thoughts in the back of your head with that. So with that, I just want to kind of have a brainstorming session. What are type of things that we could do for the downtown businesses? Now, to start off with, like I said, Trista, our new video and marketing producer, is here. She has created a new banner that we did purchase a couple of those. Street and Park staff should be putting that up shortly. Wyatt, I'm going to share my screen so you can see that as well. We have a couple of these banners that we're going to start putting up just to get the word out that downtown is still open. We want to make sure that people know that they can still access the businesses. There still is opportunity to get down there. We still want to make sure that we support our businesses during the construction. So that's kind of one of the things that we're starting off right off the bat. But with that said, like I said, Robert and Trista are here with the staffing to kind of help facilitate the conversation. Start throwing out ideas. What do you guys think? What are some things that we could do to help downtown business owners, and especially having some business owners here is a good thing to have as well.
I think one thing, you keep them in the loop where they're at, when their business moves forward. Put a timeline on the progress.
just having the weekend, that's the person have a little, if they go to something, you get a little snapshot of something that is, that is real time. Something that'll say, hey, we're on time, or we're ahead, or maybe we ran into a snafu and we're 2 days behind. But those are the things that I've fielded, those types of questions.
So those were posting. So those kind of updates we're posting regularly on social media, like, when there is a delay in construction, I am posting, hey, it's been delayed a couple of days. And then we have a new closure starting tomorrow. So I literally just posted that probably about an hour ago saying, hey, it's going to be closed starting this day. The estimated timeline is about a week for that closure. For the other closure, the estimated timeline is 2 days. That way, if we do run into stuff, people can still share it because it's starting on the correct day when I am posting. But then if we do run into stuff, I am posting updates to the Facebook page continuously. So like April said, we had talked about, making sure that people are following the city page because that's where you're going to get those updates. And I work on those with Rob for detours and updates on that.
With the social media pages, I'm not very savvy on that. My wife handles all of that. But to me, from my perspective, it appears that far more many people follow the police department's social media page than does the city. So is there a way to link almost like a copycat, or would
They
that screw
would
up the
have to
police
share-
departments?
They would have to share the pages that the city is sharing. You wouldn't be able to link the information together.
And we are also posting to the website as well as those things come available. So for more of the ones that we can actually nail down the dates, some of those graphics are going on the website as well. But like April said, the police department would have to share those. But we do have quite a following on Facebook as well.
Or you could take the police department and chamber when you're posting stuff. Yeah, so if you take the police department and the chamber, it's gonna end up on both of our pages.
We have a huge following for the county post, but I don't even know how to go on Facebook. So it's frustrating when people say, well, just find us
On
on Facebook. I don't even have an account and I never will. Well, that's just a moral issue for me. But if you can tag it to places where a lot of people, that's how they get their information. I mean, we have 150,000 unique visitors a month. And this way you're hitting the regulars that want to watch the police and courts page, and you're getting the travelers coming through. You're getting everybody, if you just can share that or tag as many people as possible. Rather than just, well, go to the city's Facebook page. That's just my thought on it, because
I
then,
think the more tagging, the better,
yeah,
really.
to get it out there.
Spread it all.
And I think that's good to the point that's getting the word out there more, but I still think trying to make sure everybody knows where the official places are, because say we put a post on our official sites, our Facebook, our city page, and it doesn't get shared for some reason, and someone misses that piece of information, then they get all upset that they didn't know. So I think making sure that they know these are the locations to get the official word that we're posting on these updates are. I think that's important as
So
well.
maybe
Yeah.
even on our official site, we should say we are the official site for that, so when people see it, they're back to it.
Is there a place on our website?
Mhm.
It's regular.
Yeah, I can't remember what page it's on the website, but we have started posting those on the website as well.
We have them things that scroll across, don't we, that flip? I think that's something that we need to make easy as possible to find.
Yeah, and Missy was doing that on the front page, putting it on the banners,
Yes.
those right there.
Yep.
It's just, from my aspect, I've been trying to keep up with the projects page, but I forget all about with all the running, my main concern is getting it to social media. To try to find time to update it daily on that projects page. I'd love to push that out, but I just do not have time to update that as much as things change. Just over the past 2 weeks, things have changed a lot, so.
Even over the past few hours, they've changed.
Is there some way they could keep the directions and stuff? Because we have a lot of visitors in town. You got the EAA going on and these hotels out here got a lot of people from out of the countries even. Is there some way we could have a map, showing them how to get around town?
So what Robert was talking about with the projects page, we started this years ago just to have a central project location. So if you just go to the city's website and you put projects at the end, it comes up with this page, and this is kind of the ongoing location that we've just put updates. So we started in the past. So if you wanted to find out what the updates were for last year's projects, this was kind of like the record of when we put the postings out there. Or like Robert was talking about.
And we have been creating like map graphics like you see there where it shows the detour to get around those things. So every time I post a construction update, it always includes a map. So people are able to view that, and then those are there as well.
Is there a place that that someone could go online and it shows, whether it's thermometer based or some sort of visual that says, these are the projects, we've met this, or we're here and this is on time. Sometimes I know in our institution, it's something that's quick and easy to snap. Just a quick reference of, okay, the project for downtown is supposed to get to block 1 met, next one, or, maybe behind. Is there anything that's out there? No?
Not currently.
And I think as often as stuff changes, I mean, like I said before, like there was an update that Rob had told me 2 hours had passed and that deadline had changed because they ran into some stuff. So, keeping on top of that has been really difficult when stuff changes last minute. And then updating those graphics and making sure that, we're posting them, but then when people share something like that one, for example, I didn't put dates on it because if someone shares it and then those dates change, I don't want any misinformation out there. So instead I've been putting it in the caption if it's something that may change if we're posting about it in advance, because otherwise people are going to be really confused about what date it actually starts.
As far as getting the word out to people on where to look, other than posting it on social media, because not everybody is social media minded, but they would know of somebody, their wife, for example, who can check. What about putting something on our sign out front? And a few updates in the paper as far as where to look.
And I also talked about, we do our, every few months, every 6 months, we go down, we visit the businesses, just going down and giving them a leave behind, like if you want updates, this is where you should be going. Whether that's a QR code or Facebook page or wherever that landing site is that we want people to go to get information. Because I told Chad, like when we did something for the parade for 2020 and we wanted all the businesses to get involved, the only way we were able to connect with every single business downtown is we either had to go around and visit every single one of them or we called every single one of them. And I don't think the city has time to contact every business with every update. So.
That was a good idea for the digital sign. Maybe we can put that on the chamber one as well. It's no different than updates when you're driving down the highway and it says, construction detour ahead or time from here to the airport extended. If we could put that on the municipal building and on the chamber website or on the chamber digital construction updates, visit the city website.
Chad, I know on some construction projects, like I experienced this just recently, I do use Google Maps, so I'm not totally technology illiterate. How do they, like the state, how does that update real time? We have a lot of truck drivers that come through town and depending on how quickly Google Maps updates or something like that, but it seems like sometimes they're like real time. It's getting better now. But like I was driving from Green Bay last week and all of a sudden my phone said speed trap ahead. I'm like, how does it know that? And right there was a speed trap. But it's like, why couldn't they have that real time update or at least fairly current updates on Google Maps? Because like for the last 3 weeks, our truck drivers, we have 2 different ones. And when we get substitutes, stuff like that, they're trying to get papers to the paper or to the post office. And they're like, and you know, and sometimes you have a very short window to get something somewhere. So like, I don't know if there's something to look into or how Google probably make you sign something in blood and charge you $5,000 a month, but how can we update our projects with Google Maps so that some of these drivers for Tyson and other places aren't driving on our roads that we just did? You know, we want them to stick to the routes that are suggested by Robert. Because it's frustrating sometimes seeing big, heavy trucks drive on roads that aren't made for them. But so updating Google Maps and regularly helps.
Some of those updates, I'm not saying I know this perfectly, but I believe some of those updates, like you saying, like the speed trap, that's like just people reporting that.
Oh,
And
okay.
Google just takes that and sends it out to everyone else. Whereas coming up to construction and detour routes, I'm not aware of any way that we can contact Google. Maybe there is, but I've never done that yet. So that'd be something that I
It's
put on the list. Is there a way we can send updates to Google Maps?
And
Well,
that
people-
definitely is like you submit it to Google. The only concern would be when stuff is changing so often, it kind of depends on their response time. So we can request stuff, but like I know when the major intersection here was closed, it did start to detour after a couple of days. At least on Apple Maps it did, but with Google, you're kind of at their mercy of those updates. Like you can provide them, but but we could look into something like that.
And my understanding, and I'm no expert either, but my understanding is that most of those construction update things happen because of the algorithms in those programs and people actually using the program and ending up detouring. And they catch that and make those adjustments themselves. So, and it takes a certain number of people to do it. Otherwise, they think it's just somebody going off the beaten path.
I handed out, I sent out an email this morning I had a bunch of emails from people who have shown interest over the time. These are just some comments I got from some business owners in the downtown of ideas or comments for tonight's discussion. So the first one, big thing would be to have a new parking lot done before the road gets ripped up and hype its existence, which that's the game plan. So our plan is to have that new parking lot available for next year. And then this person also talked about the charging for parking spaces, and the new lot would absolutely go against the downtown and its attractability. Charging was something that we talked about at Board of Public Works. There's a lot of discussion yet, so nothing kind of determined with that yet, if that's going to happen, but that was just a comment. Christine Cross of the museum talked about doing a museum walking tour modified based on the 2008 downtown walking tour. Just kind of to help bring another aspect to help bring people in downtown. She also had another idea about holding a street party with a prohibition theme because everybody's gonna have to use their back entrances during the construction. So there was a thought process to kind of make a
I like
theme,
it.
you know, do a prohibition theme with that. Another comment was the biggest fear would be the lack of downtown traffic and people avoiding downtown because of construction. So this person said they would say signage and advertising that the businesses are open would be very important. Suggested that we check with Wapaka to see what they did. This person talked to a few businesses there and they said they actually were busier during the construction because customers made an extra effort to support them. So that was encouraging. And we have brought in the city administrator and the public works director. It was probably like a year ago when we just started talking about our project to see how theirs went to kind of learn some things that they would do again, what they would not do again. But we can most certainly reach out to WPAC again to see how they advertised during the project. And then the last comment I got, make sure that people are aware that they will need access via their back doors in many cases. City might have to assist some business owners with their back door access. Not everyone has clear back door access. This person recognized another business that must have upstairs tenants parking in the back. So that business might have to have those tenants move out so they can clear out access to the back doors. Some of the steps in the back are not legal, especially for ADA standards. They might have to work on those. But whatever we can do to make people aware that the businesses are open, but may have different entrances, some of which need to be done by the businesses themselves. This business said they would likely do a postcard for their clients to make sure that they are aware. They're also doing a lot of social media posting and stuff on the website. So those are some comments I got back from some downtown business owners right now. Any other thoughts? How are we going to support downtown businesses?
Do we know how long? Do we know how long that the businesses will have to use their back door for entrances or actually depend on the project?
Robert, question was, do we know how long people would have to use their back entrances? It's my perception at this point in time that the contractor is supposed to keep the front entrance as open as long as they can during the entire project. Obviously, there's going to be a point where they gotta rip out and replace sidewalk. But I don't know if you got, we won't know much till timelines are a little bit more set.
Oh, for this year's project, they pretty much know when they're gonna start the lateral process, when they do the tie-ins for water and sewer. At that point in time, they'll know at least a day ahead of time that they're gonna be working on that section, and a lot of them fall within that front door area. So I've discussed with them several times, making signage so pedestrians know if they're trying to gain access to that building, that this is your crossing point at this block. You have to cross the street twice to get there. I know it's inconvenient, but it'll still gain you access to those businesses during that time. As soon as that connection's made and the T is set up, it's backfilled that same day. So there will be areas where there's gravel in place for that week or two until they get a temporary patch in there. Or like dealing with two different contractors downtown, because I'm dealing with Michaels, who is working for We Energies at the same time. A lot of the concrete that's taken out of the sidewalk right now was through them and not through DeGroot. So working with them to try to get that plywood overlay, because all that potholing had to be done ahead of time and left open. So as they bored, they could still have access to where those lines were, so they didn't hit them. But they're pretty much they're getting to the point where they're gonna be off North Water Street, so that shouldn't be an issue, but for us in trying to relay that, I know they've been in contact with the businesses and try to work with them the best. For next year, being that it's a state project and state run, I'll get that rundown on their process and how they're gonna work it, but judging by all the meetings that I've had with them already, and knowing that they've done this process through how many communities, that they have a system in place that will work. It's just, I am not up to date on what their process is.
So I have something to piggyback off of that. You had brought up that sometimes they're gonna have to cross the street twice to get to where they're going. Is it an idea to have maybe a post that the businesses can put a sign on there that this is the lanes you take to get to this business?
We had discussed the potential of putting out like sandwich boards where you can change what is actually on the face of them.
Yeah.
So those would be set out and you can change them as updates come across. So we had started to discuss some of those things so that you could provide directions. So people don't have to check social media. That way, if they're downtown, they see it, they can navigate accordingly.
When my thought process was a little bit more geared towards the business owners being able to create their own sign. Say we have a pole that's 8 feet tall, divided up by however many buildings that we have down there, and they can put their own designated section on there of what they need. Mayor Grounds is open today. Take this street to get easy access. I mean, I don't know how easy that is or if it's a concept.
Probably gonna wanna put it right by the new parking lot. Cause they're gonna park there.
Yeah, but don't you need like a pretty significant size sign for people to be able to see? I mean, if you have a pole, I mean, you're not gonna be doing an 8.5 by 11. You're gonna need something that's.
Yeah, I don't know what it's gonna look like. I just brainstorming.
Yeah.
And where do you put them? And how many do you put? And
Right.
what's available, what's not?
I would probably say, like, to that point, like, when you are making larger signage, like, for example, like a billboard, there's actually a certain amount of characters or letters that you can have on it, because if you have more than that, people cannot read it.
Yeah.
So if we did something like, that's why I made this so simple, is because it was easy to read as you're driving by. So if you were to do something like that, it would probably have to be multiple signs that are larger for people to view as they're driving. The walking ones are easier, like the sandwich board things, but the driving ones, those are also a little difficult. We had discussed about where we would even put those, because there's nowhere to hang them next year with the lampposts and all that gone. So
And have berm shaped signs up. Does anybody know what a berm shaped sign is?
No.
They used to put them out, I think it was, Depression era, that they'd go like every 50 feet, they'd have a word. And it would
Oh,
go,
yeah.
and they would tell you a whole sentence, and you'd have to go down the line. That was, so it was the Burma Shave advertising.
Give the Jeff.
First question is the parking lot that they're talking about. On which parking lot are they talking about paving here?
So the new parking lot. Didn't compare, I should have had this map ago, but the grass lot next to Lynn Tank Agency, the city purchased. And then we're gonna stop using the southern end of Lincoln Court. So this is all gonna be new parking lot tied into the existing city's parking lot. And then the city purchased the southern end of the First State Bank parking lot. So this is all gonna be new public parking throughout here. Give me a little time, I can find them.
It's 82 spaces.
And then the second part of my statement is I got a great idea and it's great because it's mine, but when you, I'll come up with it, and Chad, you need to figure out the legalities of it, but it would be a lot easier. And we talked about it a year or two ago at Familiar Grounds at a chamber meeting, of the possibility of having shuttles going up and down the street to transport people. It'd be a lot easier in the morning for somebody to learn what he can and can't do, one person, transport people to where they need to go, such as the New London ATV UTV Club might do that. Or another thought is the Appleton Airport. I believe they shuttle people from the parking lot in. But then you need to figure out the legalities and the insurance of doing all that stuff too. But that would be way easier. Somebody could jump on that, tell them where they need to go, and only one person or whatever that day kind of knows what's going to be going on, and they can operate up and down the street. But again, it's going to be insurance and who's responsible for what on that.
So thank you for that segue. Before we get into that, here's the layout of what that's gonna look like, Jeff, for the mapping. So there'd be a new entrance on North Water Street and new parking in between Lynn Tank Agency and PC and Cell. And then you can exit on Lincoln Court, or there's gonna be a new access developed on St. John's, or you can go down the alley. So this is the game plan, the new parking. This is gonna be developed this year. So this is available for people to use next year, so they can park in this new parking lot, enter and exit from the north, but then, you know, walk to the downtown businesses. So this is the parking lot that we're talking about.
Some things aren't that big of a deal, bars and restaurants, but when people have an appointment, just think of two examples, is the attorney's office downtown, or whatever might require an appointment, like ladies getting their hair done or something like that. People come down, they need to, you could let those businesses know that, you know, we're gonna be right in front of your building today. Maybe you wanna might reschedule, or you might wanna reschedule something. That might be another thought.
So
That's something we exactly talked about. If we would, you know, do we purchase a small golf cart that, you know, a 4-passenger golf cart that can, they're a centralized location that you can come pick up an individual who's getting their hair cut at River's Edge and drive them over there, and they got a cell phone that can get called back for a pickup appointment back to their vehicle.
Yeah, but how do you man that?
So I have a little bit of insight. Having recently had surgery, and Friday I went to the Brewers game. And my physical therapist made me aware that Aurora Healthcare, well, it ended up being Aurora Healthcare this day, that they offer, you know, accessibility services. I didn't have to have a placard, but my physical therapist was adamant that I wear my brace, even though I've been graduated from it for normal daily activities, that I wear my brace going to that game because of the undulating surfaces and the terrain and the steps and all the things. But she also made me aware that there is accessibility services that can get you closer parking, that can get you, I had a wheelchair ride from the gate where they scanned my ticket straight up to the section where I was, up the elevators and stuff. And it was letting them know that I needed accessibility access as soon as I got through the gates. And then they gave me a card and they assigned me a person, and they at that point they said, you know, here's your number to call, to text us if your plans change, but we're going to take you there now. And when do you want to be picked up? And it was really quite seamless. And it was, you know, once again, it was, we would have to check into the legalities of it, but it was so simple. And with that card, and on the card, it had a number verifying that I was the one who was getting this access, and they were picking me up, and the whole 9 yards. And it worked. It was so simple and so easy to manage.
So we have a card that we use for the senior center, for our senior transit van. And they have a business card that we give them when they get off the bus, and we ask them to call that when they're done so that we can pick them up. I can see it easily working this way. You might look into what it would be like to have the legalities of having volunteers do it. I don't know. See if I can find some people through the senior center.
Small example of that would be Friday night football games. I don't know if the Gridiron Club is who purchased that. Because that's a long walk from the parking lot to the stadium for some folks. And I don't know, you might talk with Joe or somebody that was maybe around back then, or I don't know, some of the folks are retired, but when they first built that, even Brian Yerke would have a good insight on that because he was a big part of the team and everything in the district back then.
Without getting into legalities, which we'll look to talk to our city attorney and our insurance, without thinking about the cost quite yet, do you think a shuttle service would be well received? Do you think it'd be utilized? Do you think it'd be worth it to investigate?
Definitely worth it to investigate. I think it would be utilized if it's made aware of. I mean, one of the things, I did not know that this accessibility service was available if you didn't have an ADA card. And so that was something that was, you know, because I was like, I don't even know if I can go to the game because I don't know if I could handle the walking through the parking lot, the walking through the stadium, getting up and down the steps to where we were sitting. So finding that, and it was fabulous. I want to, you know, bring my brace all the time when I go there now. It was,
I think we have
but
a
it was fun. It was good.
large elderly, use that term loosely, population that goes downtown to get their hair done, to shop. I think and then you bring up another one as far as the ADA.
Yeah.
When
I
you
mean,
say,
I wouldn't have been able to go to the game. In hindsight, looking at this, it would have been a disaster for me to attend without that ability. And I, you know, I don't consider myself all that terribly old. I consider myself someone who is pretty fit and active. And I would have had, the thought of having to walk over the surfaces next year, you know, and that just not having that solid ground, that would be a rough thing to.
The other thing with
Think
the
about.
shuttle service, which I kind of like, is that whoever's working, they're gonna know the route to take to get to where they gotta go.
Start with the insurance company.
Mhm.
So you're not wasting a lot of time trying to find people and then figure out you can't do it. Because I don't think as a city, we can afford to have somebody sit there all day during the whole summer, next summer and shuttle people.
That's the question.
I mean, there's a cost.
It costs everything.
Well, that's why I was thinking volunteers.
Right, that's why I said
ATV
start with
club?
the insurance
Yeah.
company first, make sure we
Right.
can even
They-
think about doing something like that.
Huge,
Huh?
They TV club in town is
Mhm.
very, very huge,
Yes,
wanting to be involved in everything.
they have to make sure we can first.
They have a lot of ambassadors and they're very active and lots of people that would be willing.
It's a service we provide as we can too, you know, it's a struggle. There's days that we can't have it, there's days that we don't have it.
I know that it would be really appreciated by the businesses.
Yeah.
Especially the hair salons.
And maybe they can have some skin in the game too. Maybe they're
Right.
interested in having,
Right?
at some point in time of investment. You don't know until you get them involved.
Our van is down there 20 times a day, you know, just going through, and we have regulars that go to the hair salon weekly. So we're gonna have to figure out a way to get them there. We can get them to that parking lot, but we can't get them any further. They can't walk.
And then we'd have to coordinate that with the construction crew too, to have a accessible alley that they can drive in.
Yep, it would- Like I said, whoever would, if that's going on, that person would understand the safe route to take, I'm sure, throughout the day. I think we kind of put them down a lot. What else? Any other ideas? We talked about communication, we talked about marketing, shuttle service. What else we got?
Brought it up once early on, maybe we need to think about it again, is a lot of those businesses get deliveries to them and a central place where packages could be, or at least alternatives, or, you know, how do you don't know what day FedEx might be coming, you don't know what day Speedy's coming, but
The only concern that I would see with that is trucks deliver them. So if they drop something off at the chamber, are they able to come and pick, like Matt comes to mind with his rolls of carpet. He wouldn't be able to have anything delivered to the chamber or any other place and then be able to pick it up. He doesn't own a vehicle.
large deliveries for sure you would be able to do that, but I guess the delivery driver's problem to figure out how to get there. The shuttle cart will be having a bunch of boxes from Amazon on the back.
Right on the golf strap. of the
Falling
golf
off.
cart.
I think a neat, it's a little bit off topic, but a neat business for this, it's a little late now, but for next year would be, you know, something like you see when you get to Chicago or that, you know, where they would park somewhere and then have a water taxi, bring them up to the businesses behind there. I think it's not necessarily a city event, but boy, I think that would be a neat little endeavor for somebody for, you know, a little covered boat and a water taxi type deal. That would be pretty intriguing. Right, in the weeds.
Johnny's water taxis
Been
going up.
been going on for years.
That'd be kind of fun, actually.
Just put one
I
in
do,
the
I
water.
really-
I think it would really be a promotion to the river and the
Yeah.
downtown
Yeah, you have a
docks
canopy boat and take them up to El Tequilas, take them up to wherever.
and yeah,
All right, off topic. Sorry.
no, I love the idea.
Biggest
though.
load I can haul is a grand piano right now, but and 5 or 10 people plus a grand piano.
What do you guys think, or what do you guys think about, you know, and I'm not convinced that we're the entity for this. Let's say the businesses want to get out, you know, their specials, and if they have anything that they're doing extra to kind of encourage additional service. Is there a centralized location, or is it just, they all kind of do their own thing as they're doing it now? To kind of promote, say, the restaurants or the shopping. Like I said, I'm not, stay away from that. That's not our gig as a city, but is that something to kind of one-stop area where people kind of know to go to find that information?
I don't have a one-stop kind of thing, but I did investigate a little bit of this, the signage, sign wars on their windows, window
Sign
war. You know, different businesses can communicate against each other. I mean, you can look it up and it gets to be really fun. I've talked with other communities and they're even willing to get involved because they have construction too at the Highway 15 project. So they're struggling to get their downtowns filled too. People are driving by them, thinking people are closed. To me, it could be a bigger process than just us.
I guess one thing that I would wonder about is if you do a temporary web page where people are able to update their stuff on their business, or if you utilize the New London Connect app in some way where, you know, at least on a web page, it doesn't, you know, require a smartphone, or, you know, you can look it up on your desktop versus the New London Connect app, but, you know, utilizing one of those things where you can have a centralized location for updates on the businesses and their specials and that kind of stuff.
That might be somebody in the downtown that kind of spearheads that, and everybody in the downtown kind of goes to that business and they put those updates on.
What about a match for a construction entertainment book? Somebody throws in a coupon for $4. The city, we match them $4 or something. So we would have a construction entertainment, you know, pieces of paper stapled like this, maybe perforated. And if they want to throw something on for hair, to maybe if somebody goes and gets their hair done every week, but maybe, you know, they're going to say construction's kind of crazy. Maybe we're only going to go once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks, or if we had some sort of construction entertainment match.
Or a punch card thing.
Yeah, something there if the business owner has a tangible or something that they're selling and they're gonna have whatever, a coupon of $1, then we have a coupon of $1. I don't. You could get water taxi for cheaper.
That'd be something for MMC to look into.
I love the
I think they might have did something over in Wapaka with that temporary web page. I think that might be a good idea, but they might have done some promotions like that.
Did they do anything in the paper, John? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think they did, and I'm not sure, I can't speak for it, you know. Bob Cloud would probably be able to tell you as far as what they did to update news-wise and stuff on, you know, it's a weekly, so, but he also manages the web's
Who's the
page
sales rep
daily.
over in Wapaka?
Misty, Jeannie Tested. Yeah. But anyway, back to what Bill was saying on, I think it brought up a point, I think next year for sure, you're gonna wanna make sure that all available city docks are in as early as possible, providing the water levels are correct for the Veterans Memorial Taft dock. Obviously, you wouldn't wanna, then you gotta wait on that one, because if the water level is at a certain, then you're creating a extra hazard for people. So I realize that one has to wait, but all available other docks should probably be in, because you will see a lot of residents and a lot of people just using that venue to get to their places downtown. I mean, not just someone who lives on the river to go get a haircut or go to the bank or print shop or whatever, or to eat.
I do think the water tax, even like it would keep people off the streets too, which would be honestly helpful. You're not having to deal with people in a live construction zone as much if that were to be a thing.
Yeah, using the alley.
Well, you have 3 beautiful ADA accessible docks. And they're made for more than just, you know, sitting there and fishing or anything like that, or sunbathing or.
Doesn't have to be all summer. It can just be a special situation.
Friday nights.
Is there anything else just for, you know, respect everybody's time? This was a good, long conversation already. There's nothing else that's different. What I would do is just ask that everybody kind of, in the back of their heads, continue to think a little bit. I'll keep this document. And then we'll just kind of revisit some of these things and then just kind of come up with a game plan. Trista's going to be working on a marketing plan future for the downtown project.
I guess a question that I do have, and just for you guys to keep in the back of your heads, to kind of think of over the next few months, is what kind of, you know, material besides like the graphics that we've already been creating, but, you know, any video or photo content that would help promote that the downtown's still open, that businesses are still open. Like, you know, if there's anything that there, you know, you could think of that might be along those lines besides just graphics, so that, you know, it's all in a cohesive kind of little thing.
I'll suggest with that, we continue to move on.
Can you send that document to us?
I
Chad?
sure can.
Thank you.
Remind me, please.
Moving on to number 6, consider creation of a Northeast Business Park Purchase Incentive Program.
So this is something I've been kind of talking about, putting in the back of my head for a while. I wanted to kind of come up with a game plan of what, talking to businesses and kind of promoting our business park. What are we selling land for? I mean, obviously we want to sell it with the intent for, assess value and job creation, things like that. But we've sold it for very reasonable rates in the past. But I want to kind of come up with a game plan. So first of all, I did some investigation, and Jeff's obviously a realtor, so maybe he can pipe in a little bit. Pricing that I saw for industrial land in the Fox Valley is all over the place, depending on what municipality you're in and how close you are to a highway and things like that. It's all over the place. So I couldn't even come up with a generalized consensus of what Fox Valley land is in their industrial parks, what they're selling it for. Wauwega and Clintonville right now, they reported they're currently at about $10,000 per acre. The Packer reported to me that they're at $40,000 an acre, but did note they pretty much negotiate every project and every sale away, and they reduce the price and even give it away for free, depending on if it's part of the development. So that's just kind of a starting. Then I came across Shawano's incentive program. I really liked how this thing was structured. You can notice in my packet, I did a screenshot of their website, and currently they're selling land right now advertised at $20,000 per acre. This is on their website. But then they've got these incentives. So depending on the jobs created, there's discounts. So, 10 jobs or less, there's a $750 discount per job, all the way up to, if it's a larger development, if it's over 101 or more jobs, you can have a deduct of $2,750 per job. There's some, verified record keeping that they got to provide with that. But then there's also an investment, an accessible investment. So for there's a $225 discount for every $10,000 of assessed value they put on the property. And then they put on here, those credits, those discounts can get it down to zero. There's no minimum price after all the credits are applied. They provide the website here if you wanted more information. So, but I kind of wanted to have a discussion with the Economic Development Committee. I wouldn't mind doing something like this. We can mimic it. Do you guys like this? Looks like it's already been out there for some time. Jeff, I don't know if you've seen that $20,000 per acre. Is that something that kind of normal? Is that low? Is that high? Not to put you on the spot either, but.
Well, working on some projects along that Highway 15 corridor right now. 10 to 15 out there, but they have there's no improvements with that. There's no water, there's no sewer or anything like that out there. What were you doing? How did the businesses that are out there now, how did they acquire those properties? Did they pay for them or were they given to them or?
There was a negotiation, I believe, and some of them, most of them were done before my time in this position, so I don't even have the knowledge. So that's why I wanted to kind of get to something, a framework for me to work off of in the future.
So 20,000 an acre for something that's really fully improved, everything is right to the curb, probably isn't out of price range. And again, I'm talking off the top of my head. That's my territory out there, but I thought back in the day, as long as don't hold me to this, but I thought that the city put all the infrastructure into that out there and paid for it, taxpayer dollars. I thought that if someone came and wanted to start a business there, that they would give them that property for a pretty minimum, if anything at all.
Depending on what the development is.
Yeah, 3 is a pretty good price compared to 20,000. So I don't know. But yeah, I brought this up before though, but it just blows me away that when you go past Hortonville, when they built that industrial park, how fast that filled up. And the only difference between them and us is what, 8 miles? Does that really make a difference? And has anybody asked the village what they did to get those businesses in there? I think that's where I would be looking for an answer, because right now I've had someone contact me a couple months ago that now they're kind of looking to expand that industrial park behind fire station. They want to build out there maybe because they're full or pretty full.
Do you
I
have
know
any
I
idea
plow snow out there, but I haven't been in all of the parts of it, so I'm not sure if it is truly full or what's going on. But
I can reach out to Hortonville, kind of get some more information.
I think that's the place to look to see what they did, because they've got anything and everything in there. And you all know, you all drive by there in the valley all the time. It's a good place.
Some
I
of them,
just don't know, I just don't understand why when I started in real estate 6 years ago, I think I told you guys, it used to be, well, buy a Hortonville shaft and blah, 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 but I'm not going to one. Well, now they go to Manawha, Ogdensburg, they don't care anymore, because you can't find them homes. But I don't know what that stigma is, and if that's attached besides homes, if it's attached to businesses too. Hortonville doesn't have rail service there to speak of. I mean, we probably got more opportunity to put a business along the rail than what Hortonville does, I think. I'm not quite sure about that.
I feel part of it is just the migration of Appleton and the valley, working from, same thing was said at one time on Greenville, and then Greenville expanded towards the Hortonville and now Hortonville, and part of it is just, get close to the airport, you're close to it. I believe it's migrating towards, I think it's just natural progression. If there's anything negative, I don't believe out there.
probably,
15 project become more attractive as well.
that's why it's smart to be thinking of it now with 15 getting closer and closer. So I'm glad that he brought it up and looking at it, but covenants, I think, to Jeff's point, there's a big difference in covenants in that industrial park than this one. Originally, unless it's been changed, this one had some pretty strict covenants. And it has deterred businesses. And
They required X number of feet in front being stone or masonry or something like that.
yeah,
Something like that,
and then
Now, I think Northland, I don't remember. Masonry out there, on the east end building, it. Then there's the plastic reclamation building over there, that's just a metal shed. But that's in a different part, I don't know, maybe you got different zoning in industrial parks too for, I don't.
not out there. And it's a covenant, it's not zoning. So it's a little bit different. Zoning, we can enforce with zoning, or it's covenant. It's just, how covenants work.
I know one major expansion over there was just because that business was already existing there. And then they got a major grant, the governor came here. Scott Walker himself walked in there. Toured it. At that time, that was multi-millions of dollars. And that business was booming because of what was going on with shale sand, oil extraction in the United States from sand fracking. So I remember part of that, but
And Mayor Mark knows, we've had conversations with some interested businesses. And the question I get was, how much is it per acre? What do I say? I mean, we don't have a framework, so that's kind of why I want to get a framework together and put these incentives. Some incentives I really like, just because there's a lot of deducts that can happen depending on the jobs and the accessible value. So, I mean, you can easily get this down to almost nothing. These incentive credits.
you could have a small pole shed that looks like a place you house aluminum cans, and you could have a $22 million robot in there kicking out $30 million worth of product a year. How do you tax it? That robot's not taxable, or at least it won't be. They get rid of, personal property tax. So it's going to become even harder to relate number of jobs created as an incentive, because AI and
They just
robotic
talked about that, yeah.
robotic stuff. So I like the valuation model, and right now I like what Chad's basically trying to get a number or a range. It's not like you meet up with a guy at the volleyball league and say how much, he says how much you want, say 0 to 50,000 per acre. You gotta have kind of a gauge.
I've got a business right now asking how much per acre, so that's why I'm bringing this forward, to kind of give me some framework.
You could be very frank and say 0 to 50,000 an acre. I mean, tell me more, open the hood. What are you planning?
So there's not really a policy in place right now at all.
Not that I know of, that I've come across.
So there's been different negotiations with each business out there.
I believe so.
Isn't it listed with a realtor? Wasn't it?
I don't know if that was ever listed with a realtor. I think it's been city marketed. I know there's been some marketing put together with like East Central Regional Planning Commission and stuff like that.
You do know that right now in the valley, there's food products coming from the north of us going all the way to that valley for refrigerated storage. There's a lack of that right now. There's one business that's increasing their needs for that. They're going to Seymour, Green Bay, and Appleton for storage for refrigeration. Sure, it'd be nice if we could get somebody to put a refrigerated warehouse in there or something.
And I get quite a few inquiries. New North, I don't know if everybody knows what New North is. We just had a conversation this morning. New North is like a kind of a regional economic development hub. And I get emails through that on a regular basis that they have. They put code names for these projects. Project blah, blah, blah is looking for a site with these parameters. And you're supposed to basically fill out your parameters if you can supply those needs and then send it back. And then these bigger companies get all the proposals and they kind of go through and figure out what site selection is best for them. And then they start going from there. So as many times as I can, if we're eligible, I'm filling out that information. But this is another thing that, you know, they're asking how much per acre.
And I like that if that's what you need to start negotiating these.
I just feel like that's high, 20,000 per acre. And what if we were giving it away for next to nothing to the other? I mean, is that going to deter people from coming in and developing? I don't know. Are we going to Clintonville 10,000 per acre?
Without any incentives.
I don't
So why don't
know
we do
incentives.
15 with incentives?
Just to give you a baseline.
Just trying to give Chad a baseline
Yeah.
to be able to negotiate with somebody, or at least give them an answer when they ask a question.
You know, and in the policy that we can create, I mean, maybe we put something in there that there's flexibility to negotiate too.
Right.
depending on it. Like John
Just
was saying,
use your
maybe it's,
discretion.
Maybe the investment of the building, the accessible improvements, not that great, but inside it's got something major that we want to have here in London.
Chad, that alpaca, that 40,000 an acre, though, all of their industrial area is serviced by Canadian National over there, so that would add quite a bit of value to that, maybe. 'Cause if you
Rail
look at
accessible
just the
property.
highway system, Waiwega and alpaca should almost be the same, although the rail does go through Waiwega too, but they really don't have their own industrial area. Ish.
I don't know where their industrial park is.
I think it's east of like Agri-Pure and stuff there, isn't it?
It could be.
And where Pierce is. Over on Pax.
Yeah, that's it. That's,
Isn't that in the-
that's, yeah, where the water
That's part
tower
of their
is.
industrial park.
I don't know where available land is in their industrial park. How's that?
I like this concept, but also leaving it open for negotiation. That gives you some teeth to bite into as a starting bid. But it seems, open for negotiation as well.
If you guys are okay with starting this as a framework, I'll put together a policy and we'll just write up as policy. This kind of framework, and then I can put something in there about, you know, having that negotiation that is brought back to the Economic Development Committee for final review, blah, blah, blah. And then I can bring that policy for the Economic Development Committee to us and take the council as our.
Guess I would like to see a little, and I don't know how it can be done, but a little bit more research on the price per acre. You know, what we've done in the past, what those price per acres in the other communities really do involve. You know, what's the assessed value kind of thing? Because I don't want to undersell or oversell. I want us to have a nice hot market point with some great incentives.
I want to just give it away to businesses. As long as they come and fill the industrial
Right.
park, I'd rather sell the 5 lots for $5 or however. you
Yeah,
have
it'd be
it.
nice though to find out, to do a little bit of homework on the Hortonville. You know, because
Yeah.
that's where we're competing with, that we're
Right,
competing
what
closer
it-
to the valley.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what
so
did they
let's-
do to get the people, because maybe they did give it away for $5.
If
based
I,
on
if I
whatever.
remember, I vaguely remember Northland
Yep.
seen in the paper that they bought it for $1. I mean,
Northland Electric.
yeah,
They were, John, I think we were in an economic meeting and they came in and I thought they came and did a presentation and said, I thought it was given to them for.
I think they have to sell it for $1 or something.
there was-
like that, but
there
it
was
was
stipulations
stipulations on
on every
every
one
one
of them.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's why with the development over there, it's $1, right? I mean, we want to get people here. If you put too big of a number on there per acre, you're never, nobody's gonna come. Huh?
Right,
I said,
right.
you ain't gonna get nobody to come to town if you put a big price on it.
No,
They're gonna go somewhere else.
right.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time the city gave something away.
And if that's your marching orders,
I would find out what Hortonville did to fill theirs. And then,
I think that's who we're competing against more than.
You really want to get people here. When businesses come, then people come. That spurs the rest of your development, right? Your new houses that
Right.
people have to live in.
don't get me
If
wrong.
it's-
It's all the.
We
things
don't
that
need to
move
make
it-
the money
all the
on the
things that
land.
move
We
it
need to make the
forward.
money year after year after
Right.
year on the
Yeah.
taxes, right? We want the businesses.
But that's why I like this platform. I mean, we
Yeah.
didn't have to start at 20,000.
No, no,
I like
that's
this platform
pretty high.
Because that is a ground breaker as far as a question.
Don't get me wrong, I hope this happens, that it gets down to nothing.
Well, didn't we have something similar with Granite Valley? We extended the rail service to them, that they had to have so many people working.
Yeah.
In order for us to run the rail.
Grand
Fine.
Valley, they actually financed the improvements with that. There was a grant, and then they financed the other part of that grant. The city's match, they financed.
So that was kind of similar to what we're. They had to have, don't they have to have so many people hired at a certain date?
Okay, you're talking about the original spur, that was before my
Yes.
time, the one that wrapped around, that's, I don't know, I don't have
There
the.
was something about that they had to maintain so many jobs here for us to run, extend the rail line out, because we were gonna tear it out.
It's ever been used. Give it a
I don't
single
think so
card on
either.
those tracks.
We were gonna tear it out and scrap the stuff and voted against it to give them it when they got some incentive. I don't remember exact agreements, but
In the interest of time, why don't I reach out to Hortonville? Bring back a little bit more information. I totally agree with giving it away for $1 if it's right development, 100%. I'm just trying to get a good starting point when I'm getting asked these questions. Instead of having, like John was saying, hey, it's $0 to 150,000 an acre.
Yeah.
I will do some more research.
All right, discuss the London Business Annual Report Card outreach.
Okay, so, as most of you should be aware, the chamber has a subcommittee group. It is the Downtown Revitalization Subcommittee. And April, correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm speaking. But one of the things that came out of that committee was to put together this infographic about what's happening in New London, just to promote the city. So April did a phenomenal job putting this information together, and it really highlights, what's going on in New London. I'm sure that there's a lot of- Talks about our slogan, revitalization has an address, and it talks about the businesses and the residents in London. What we've done in the last year for improvements. The revitalization committee really thought it was a good idea to get this out to people, to the residents and the businesses. One of the ideas they had was to put this in as a mailing along with the sewer and water bills. That committee doesn't have any money, so they asked the Economic Development Committee if they wanted to be a partner in this project and get this information out to the residents and the businesses in New London. That was the request of that committee, so that's the information that we're bringing forward to the Economic Development. April, was there anything else that you wanted to add?
So I received a quote from the New London Utilities for the direction from the revitalization to do an insert in the residence utility bill and to print 4,200 inserts. With the cost of $378.
I'm all in on that. I get requests daily about putting more information out there in the newspaper, in utility bills. That is it right there.
So are we looking for a motion to print, or what do we, how's the word motion be worded? We're looking for a
To
motion to
fund.
insert.
Funding insert.
And it would be, we would give it to them digitally, they print it out, they stuff it, it's just one stop cost to get it.
I think it's a way to show some of the
Yeah.
positivity, so I'll make a motion that we
Second that.
Finance,
$300 and some to put it in an envelope.
Yeah, that'd be phenomenal.
Motion been made by Bill, second by Belinda. All those in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed?
Aye, yep. Thanks, Wyatt.
Before we move on, I'd like to thank April and the committee for putting all that together. That is outstanding numbers and information.
Thank you. I think it's quite timely too. And I did also have a couple people asking me recently about, how is asking specifically about businesses in New London and downtown and what's available, and they were actually kind of surprised to find out that that we're kind of full up. So then the questions were, then what?
Right?
Moving on to updates and reports, business updates, April.
So we didn't meet in June, so I got quite a bit here I'm gonna run through. We had a new business that just opened called Next Level Activewear. This is a spinoff of the Next Level Sports Complex. So Bob Guyette owns many businesses, Bob and Jerry. They also do graphic tees. So they open up Next Level Activewear, which is adjacent to Anytime Fitness. We'll be doing a ribbon cutting for them August 14th at noon, if you can put that on your calendars. First State Bank announced their new development is set to open October 2nd, which is a Monday. Make sure you stop in and check that out. Building is absolutely beautiful right on the river. I think everyone is aware that John's Bar has sold to Valley Area Properties. Sounds like it's going to be managed by Brenda, who used to manage Dragon's Den. So they have plans to keep it as a bar. There was some pods out in Walgreens parking lot. So I contacted them to see what was going on there. Turns out they are remodeling. There's some vacancies on the end of North Water Street. There were some businesses that got spooked by this construction and their leases came up and they hightailed it back to home. They said they would kind of want to wait until the water's kind of calm before they go back into a business downtown. So I'm working with the property owner to she owns 3 or 4 businesses right in a row. You can see are empty right now. So we have those listed on the chamber website. We're trying to get them filled. It's a very low rent and they're nice properties. The development on Shadow Street is coming along. I was hoping to have some more public information. I know he's working with a couple different businesses right now. So more to come on that. The property manager from the former pad, which is on 102 East Cook Street, stopped in to get his property listed. It used to be the former pad. He was using it as storage, and as of June, he is now gone. I met with both the new agents from American Family Insurance and State Farm. So they had longtime insurance agents in both of those, and I thought it was important to recognize the fact that both those insurance agencies felt those offices needed to stay open in New London. Hilby's is back on the market at a reduced price. Thank you, Jeff, for this information. Looks like it's priced at 1.3 million. Yep, 1.3. We're working with a couple businesses right now, new businesses. Hopefully we'll have some information to share soon by the end of the year. Chad, did you want to give this a similar update that you gave on the Wolf River Plaza, just to kind of give people updates on those vacancies?
Sure. So Wolf River Plaza, I don't know if it was the sales rep, somebody
think
with the
like the
organization, the business
agent.
organization, contacted me. I had a couple of questions about some ideas for use in that building. Some of them were not zoned for that, so wasn't going to be available for what they were asking for, but we did have a decent conversation. He was asking about the business climate and businesses looking for available properties. And I did say April and I do get comments on a regular basis about different opportunities, and we do send them their way when we get something that would make sense. And he did confirm that, yes, they do get some inquiries. He did mention that based on the sales price, what they purchased the property, they were trying to, relate the rental rate enough to justify and pay back the sales price. But he did mention that the old True Value building section, which is a separate parcel from the rest of the building, so just the old True Value building, is separate, and they would consider selling that off separate from the rest of the building. So there is a couple businesses in town that have had interest about doing things. So we just let people know that, hey, this is for sale too, I guess. So we didn't know that was for sale in the past. So, but yeah, I guess the old True Value part, they would be willing to sell. I'm not sure what dollar amount they would look sell it for, but I guess it's for sale. So that's the conversation.
And then lastly, due to construction downtown, Fall Fest and Wheels on Warner Allen will have a new location. So the second weekend in September, the largest festival in Wapaka County will take place on Warner Allen. So if you can house any of these cards in your business office or help me spread the word, I would greatly appreciate it.
All right, moving on to the city administrators report, Chad.
All right, like I got in my packet, billboard update. As I reported in late spring, the billboard company I was working with was not able to perform that structural inspection like we wanted to before the frost came out. However, with the lack of rain that we've experienced, I sent staff out there to go check it out, and it is dry enough that they could get a lift out there. So I did contact the company to hopefully get somebody in here to do that structural inspection before we change out the billboard sign. Just make sure we do any repairs needed before we do that next installation. So they did get back to me saying that they will put it on their schedule, but I have not heard back at this point in time when they're going to come out and do that structural inspection. I am working with Trista and April and Ginger on just some different ideas for the actual signage itself. We'll be bringing an opportunity for the Economic Development Committee to look at that sometime in the future. And again, we're anticipating changing that wrap out in the fall or in the winter when the ground is frozen. And the company excuse me, in the past month, I participated in a East Central Wisconsin Regional Planning Commission input session, updating the region's comprehensive economic development strategy. This is the region's economic development plan, required for them to do it every 5 years. The plan is necessary as it's used for requesting grant funds from the U.S. Economic Development Administration. One thing that I didn't know, that since 1984, over $25 million have been invested in this region from those grants. So it's definitely something very important to keep up on. And one of the things that came out of that, which was really interesting, I didn't realize the Central had this capacity, but they have, I'm trying to show this. They have Esri data, which is mapping data that they can get demographics for certain areas. So they put together, just for the city of New London, a bunch of demographic information. It was really interesting about, some of our demographic information that we could see, different age groups, different household incomes, the price point for median household values, according to this, growth rate, diversity. And it just came up with some really interesting information about economic spending, the incomes for households in the area, what people are spending their money on in the city, apparel or computers
that
or
for
groceries or healthcare.
Yeah.
Some other household figures. So it was really kind of interesting. I didn't know this data was available to us in this format. So it was really kind of interesting to get all that. Household by heating the fuel. I mean, what the people are using for heating their home on. The structures were built. Transportation, how many people drove to work, carpool, walk, bicycle. All this demographic information is available to us. And I also got the same information for city of Wapaka County, somebody else as well. So it's kind of interesting to just look at that demographic data and compare that information. So just some information, if you guys are wondering, some different type of demographic information I may be able to get from the Central Regional Planning Commission. And then lastly, on September 14th, we are working with the Wisconsin Economic Development Corporation. We're hosting a regional downtown roundtable networking meeting. It's going to be hosted at Familiar Grounds, again on September 14th from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. These meetings typically are attended by regional economic development professionals, but everybody in New London, especially the Economic Development Committee, if you guys are available, you are more than welcome to come attend. Right now, the two topics they have on the schedule are property rehab, specifically tailored towards for downtown businesses, and marketing. Again, as part of the Economic Development Committee, you guys are all invited to register. I provided the link in your packet if you want to participate. So, yeah, so something we're bringing the state in and putting ourselves in the map for regional planning. All I got.
Review potential agenda items for future meetings, continued discussion regarding placemaking.
I'll also put on continued discussion, pretty much 5 and 6 in the future. I don't know if they'll be at the next meeting, but we'll continue to talk about our business park purchasing and then just kind of continue that conversation with what we can do to support downtown businesses during our upcoming construction.
All right, review the next meeting date.
Next regular meeting date would be the last Tuesday, which would be Tuesday, August 29th.
Entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by April, second by Bill. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?